What's up, tea drinkers? Who's ready to spill? Welcome to The Tea with KG, hosted by your girl, Kaylee Grace. Here you'll find your weekly boost of real talk mixed with laughter, healing, and all of those vulnerable, messy moments in between. The Tea with KG is a safe space for you to show up exactly as you are. We are here to share real-life stories from around the globe and be a community of love, joy, and celebrating life. This is a real deal show, so there will be coarse language and sensitive topics discussed. The most beautiful stories oftentimes emerge from the darkest of places, and we're here to explore it all. There's room for everyone at this tea time, so grab your drink of choice, spark it up, or just relax and soak it up. Cheers, and let's spill. What's up, tea drinkers? We are back with another episode of The Tea with KG. I'm your host, Kaylee Grace. We are here to spread the sparkle, and I have another amazing guest joining me. I am so excited to have the lovely Kambo Ash joining us. Thank you so much. How are you?
Good, Kaylee. Thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm really looking forward to this interview.
Yes, me too. So my friend Josie got some healing practices done with Kambo, and I saw what she did, and I was like, okay, this looks so cool. And it's something I had never heard of. So we're going to learn so much today. It's going to be awesome. So without further ado, who are you and what do you do?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me on your show again, Kaylee. My name is Ashley Brunette, also known as Kambo Ash. I have been working with this medicine for 4 years. I work with two amphibian medicines. One is Kambo, and the other one is Bufo alvarius. It's from a toad. And I'll share about my journey to both of those medicines as we go through the show. In my former life, I was a physical education teacher internationally for 13 years. And then on the last day of school, when I was teaching in the Dominican, I actually got an infection that turned out to be MRSA, which is methicillin resistant Staph aureus, where I almost lost my leg. It's a
Wow.
super staph infection. And that is basically what led me to Kambo. So we'll share all about that as we go through the interview.
Yes. Oh my gosh, amazing. So you taught internationally. That's so cool. What countries have you taught in?
I taught in Taiwan, Korea, Thailand, and then my final posting was in the Dominican.
That's
And
so cool.
and I also had volunteered quite a bit in Brazil, Dominican, Honduras as I was teaching, and when I was in university, I brought teams to work with children and to build schools,
Oh, oh,
different
I
places
love
in the world.
that. That's beautiful. I love to travel too, so it's so interesting, like just experiencing new cultures, new places, foods, everything. So teaching would be so awesome to do all over the world. Like that's so sick. I love it.
Yes, it was quite an amazing experience. So when I was in Taiwan and Korea, I was teaching English, and then I went back to Teachers College later when I was 29. And then I spent 2 years teaching in Manitoba. And then I got a posting in Thailand. So I went and I was teaching physical education and swimming and spent 2 years in Thailand, came back, worked in Toronto for a couple of years, and then went to the Dominican.
Wow, did you say swimming?
Yes.
I used to be a competitive swimmer. I love that. Very
Awesome.
cool. I actually lifeguarded and taught swimming too. So I'm like, give me the water, the ocean, river, a pond, a puddle, doesn't matter. Give it to me. I love it. That's so
Yes,
cool.
I spent all my summers lifeguarding as a teenager, working at
Yes.
McDonald's, and then in the summer I'd work at a camp and we would lifeguard on an open lake.
Oh, that's so awesome. And like, there's no better, because I was a teenager too when I did it, no better job. Like, I was like, you're active, you're outside. And plus, like, teaching kids swimming was one of like the most joyful things I've ever done. Like, it's just so cute. And like, kids are the best to connect with in general, because like, you just keep it simple, tell funny stories, keep it real. And they're like, okay.
It's one of the most important life-saving skills that you can teach, especially to children. And in my experience, when I was teaching in Thailand, a lot of the kids had had very traumatizing experiences with their swim teachers.
Mm.
There's a very much strong disciplinary role that the teacher or the swim instructor does, and they don't gently introduce the kids to swimming via games and letting them go slowly. A lot of times kids told me stories about being just thrown into the pool, and they
Oh.
had super traumatizing experiences, and especially the young girls, they really felt uncomfortable to
Mm.
to change and to be in swim class. So it was a very rewarding experience to be able to teach the kids in a way that was fun and loving and kind. And one of the best tips that I got from one of my old life-saving books was a lot of times children don't like to take swimming lessons because they're so cold. So what
Mhm.
I would do after every class is just take each child individually, their towel, wrap it around them, give them a hug, and say what a good
Yes.
job they did. So they really love that. It's a little bonus at the end of the class just to tell them they did a good job and give them that physical
Yes, the
love.
warm, cozy fuzzies, yes, oh my gosh, yes, you're giving me flashbacks because it wasn't like a ritual I did, but also the same when it was summer outdoor because they would just be shaking, they were so cold, I'm like,
Yes.
"Come here, give me your towel, like, let's get warm."
Yeah.
I love so much that you could be that beautiful light for those beautiful kids and show them that, this is a fun activity and it doesn't have to be taught in the ways that they had received before. So look at you. You're just doing your light work everywhere. I love it. We should dive into your story because I know as humans, we all have a journey. We all have lots of ebbs and flows that get us to where we are and get us to doing what we're doing. And I just love hearing people's stories because we're also multifaceted with so many layers and it's just beautiful to open up and share that with the world. And it's nice too because others who resonate can then be like, oh, I get that too. And it's just a beautiful way to again cultivate that love and light and safety within all the communities. So let's hear your story, girl.
So I'll backtrack to when I was teaching and what happened. I have always been a super competitive athlete, and I played both basketball and rugby at the varsity level in university.
Mhm.
And I went on naturally because sports was something that really helped me as I was a teenager and experiencing a lot of bullying to to grow and to have confidence in myself. So
Absolutely.
because of bullying that experience, I really pushed myself in sports, and it was always something that brought a lot of joy. And I learned a lot of skills, life skills through playing team sports and competing
Yes. Team
really as
sports
well.
and competing, it's so beneficial to so many areas of us as humans. Like, I think that's awesome. That and especially that you leaned into that, like given your experience. Like that's amazing.
Yes, and being becoming a physical education teacher was always on the top of the list. And I took my time though. I finished university when I was about 23. I
Mhm.
went out to Lake Louise and worked at the Fairmont Chateau.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and for a year, and then I got my first job teaching English, which was in Taiwan. Would come back, bartend, and then go off to another country.
Oh,
So
fun. I feel like when I went to university as well, and afterwards I moved to Australia for 2 years. So I feel that just like bopping around. I feel like you probably met a lot of Aussies too at Lake Louise, I'm assuming. Just lots of
yes.
snowboarding instructors.
Yeah, and a lot of them when I was teaching in Thailand too.
Yes.
Yes. So I did that for about 6 years, and then I went to teachers college when I was 29 in Thunder Bay,
Mhm.
and I pretty much got recruited out of teachers college to go teach in Manitoba, a small town, Lac du Bonny. It's about an hour northeast of Winnipeg. And as I said, I taught there for 2 years. Then I got an offer to go to Thailand. 2 years in Thailand, came back, worked in Toronto for 2 years, and then I was in the Dominican for three. And during this time, too, teaching physical education internationally, encountered a lot of children, and a lot of times girls weren't encouraged in sports. And I really did my best to bring lots of fun opportunities for the kids to play in class and games that they had never tried before. I brought
Yeah.
mini sticks to the Dominican, and the kids absolutely loved it. Taught them how to play field hockey, so we ordered field hockey sticks, a lot of sports that they had never experienced.
Well, yeah, especially got to bring the field hockey. Come on. Canadian
Yes.
coming.
And hockey in general, the kids absolutely love mini sticks. And I ran created basketball leagues within the school and all kinds of intramurals and sports
Wow.
days and Olympic days. I really, really, really love my job and was super passionate about being a physical
Mm,
education teacher, especially
yeah.
encouraging kids to be active and not have to feel embarrassed or shamed about their bodies.
Yes. Oh my God. One more time for the people in the back. Like, we all need people like that around us. I love that. That's so important. And I love that you brought that into your teaching because I would have benefited from that as a kid. Oh my gosh.
And a lot of children I found out, and myself being an athlete, I never experienced it. Phys ed was always my favorite class. But for a
Yes.
lot of children, women, girls especially, it can be very traumatizing. Girls and
Mm.
don't like to feel uncomfortable about their bodies, and guys too. But I can relate more as a woman,
Of
obviously,
course.
to that and what I've seen the majority of classes around the world and girls not having confidence in playing sports because still in a lot of countries it's frowned upon. It's for the
Mm.
boys. So really promoting everybody participating, having fun, enjoying, and getting a workout.
Yes. All the best things. That's like endorphin central right there.
So it was a beautiful and beautiful, beautiful job, and I really loved it. And on the last day of school, so this is June 2017, I felt a really deep pain in my upper right thigh. And at
Okay.
first, I thought it was a spider bite. And I went to bed that night and I had marked the spot where it was to see if it became more red and if it grew.
Yeah.
And it had grown in the morning, and I went to collect my paycheck, and we had doctors on staff, so I got checked out, and the doctor thought that it wasn't a spider bite, and she it could be an allergic reaction to another kind of bite. So she just gave me cortisone cream and an antihistamine, and I was on my way to Thailand the next day. I had a stopover in New York, but I was going
Mhm.
to Thailand for a month as I had taught there. I have many friends, and I was going to spend a month in Thailand on my summer
Yeah.
vacation.
That's a great way to spend summer vacay. A month in Thailand. Yes.
Yes. So this pain in my leg was really excruciating, and I have been through a fair amount of things in my life, and this was really painful that I knew something was not right. So
Hmm.
when I arrived in New York, I was staying at an Airbnb, and the couple that was hosting me, they were really, really kind. And the woman took me to the pharmacy to get some sort of painkiller. And I spoke with the pharmacist. She wasn't very helpful at all. She just told me to take, again, antihistamine. And I knew at this point it was getting more and more red and more painful.
Hmm.
And I got painkillers and antihistamine. I went back and took them, and then I was debating, like, what am I going to do if this isn't. I was
Yeah.
to fly out the next day at 3 p.m. It's a 24-hour flight. So I talked to my friends in Thailand. They said, why don't you go and see a real doctor and see what they recommend. So
Yeah.
luckily for me, the school provided really good insurance, and there was an app that allowed us to see where the clinics were around us,
Oh, nice.
and they would take care of the bill, because going to the States and having
Oh,
a doctor there is absolutely ludicrous.
crazy. Yeah, the healthcare there, it's not what we have for sure.
Yes. So I went to a clinic, and the doctor, again, he said, I don't think it's a spider bite. It could be an allergic reaction. Worst case scenario, when you get to Thailand, they can lance it and you'll be you'll be good to go.
Okay.
And so he gave me amoxicillin and steroids, and I started to take them. And then the couple graciously dropped me off at the airport. By this time, I could barely walk. It was
Wow.
painful.
Oh my gosh. I don't know. I'm very like I hold my pain. Like it takes a lot for me to say something. I'm getting that vibe from you too. Like for you to
Yes,
actually be like, yeah, okay, something's wrong. It takes a lot of pain.
absolutely. Like, I mean, I played varsity rugby and
Yeah.
had experienced malaria from after I volunteered in Brazil. So I have experienced a fair amount of pain in my life.
Yeah.
It's not normal. The flight, like I said, is 24 hours. So by the time I got onto the first flight, and then I believe we stopped in the States, then stopped in Hong Kong, both of those times I had to be wheeled to the next plane because
Oh
I
my
could not
God.
walk.
Wow.
Finally arrived in Thailand, and my friend came to pick me up, and I was in a wheelchair. He was not expecting that at all.
No.
And it was excruciating, like the medicine that I was
Air
given.
quotes, everyone who's listening, not
Yes.
viewing.
That I was given, it was supposed to be an antibiotic and a steroid, but the pain was getting worse and my leg was swelling. It was, by the time I got to Thailand, there was a lump the size of a grapefruit underneath
Whoa.
my skin.
Wow. Was
And
it like hard to the touch or was it squishy? Hard?
hard.
Wow.
It was hard. And as I arrived, my friend picked me up, and then I was exhausted. So I just was at another friend's condo. I slept, and within 12 hours, I woke up. I wasn't really sleeping either because it was just so
So
much pain that I was
uncomfortable.
trying to rest.
Yeah.
At this point, I couldn't take it anymore. So I called my Thai friend. She's a sister to me. And
Hmm.
she brought me to the hospital. And right away, they said to stop taking that medication. They put me on an IV and made an appointment with the surgeon the next day.
Wow. They were on it.
On it. And in Thailand, you have public hospitals, but you also have private hospitals. I was very lucky to be able to go to a private hospital,
Mm,
which then the insurance paid for. So very, very thankful for that. And
yeah.
in that private hospital, I was taken such good care.
Mm.
I was given such good care,
That's
and
so nice, especially in a foreign country, just because you don't know what's going on and it's not where you're from. And that's just I would be so grateful as well just to have that care. That's awesome.
yes. So the next day they made an appointment. I was at the hospital for 10 a.m. and unfortunately no one could come with me because everybody was working.
Mhm.
And so the doctor, he thought at first it might be a cyst or that I got hit and
That's what I was thinking. I watch a lot of Dr. Pimple Popper. I know that's weird, but I do. So I was like, is it
yeah,
hard? I was like, is it a lipoma? Like going through all the
yes.
things in my head.
Yeah, so that's exactly what he thought at first. And then they decided to do that, they were going to lance it. So they brought me into the operating room. And just remember that at that point, being in the operating room is when I got quite scared. And I was talking to one of my closest friends on FaceTime, and I told the doctor I can let her go. And he said, no, no, just you keep
Oh,
talking to her. It's okay. The nurse came over and she held my hand because I started to cry.
oh,
And yeah, it was just, it, it's overwhelming. And being in another country, and I mean, they were absolutely brilliant, spoke English, and really, really cared for me. It's still scary, and
of
it's
course.
my
Such an unknown. Oh my gosh.
high level athlete, and this is my life. My life was sports,
Yeah.
teaching sports. It was what I lived for.
That's
and
right. And
and
like the thought of not being able to move your body, like that thought, like I don't even want to think about it because it's just we take that for granted so much as humans and it's like, the people who value it, we're like, no, no, like your health is everything. Like if you don't have that, what do you
absolutely,
have?
it's so scary to think that one night you go to sleep normal, and then the
Yeah.
next day you wake up with excruciating pain.
Mm-hmm.
It really put things in perspective for me. And anyway, so the doctor lanced it. Well, they actually cut a loony-sized hole in my leg.
Wow.
They didn't know till they went in. And once he went in and made that cut, he said, okay, it's not a cyst. And I felt relief for about 5 minutes, but then without going into all the gory details, but they had to stuff that hole, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
prevent it from leaking, but it had to clear the infection that was inside of it. So
Right.
they couldn't seal that hole. It had to remain open. And I needed to go back to the hospital every single day to clean the hole
They'd have
that
to take that out and put new stuff in, right? Wow.
clean inside of it. And
Was that painful when they cleaned inside of it?
there's no, like, there was no freezing, nothing. And
Oh.
yeah,
Oh
I
my
have
God.
a kind of gory analogy about it, but it was extremely uncomfortable. But
Wow.
again, they made me feel so comforted every time I was in that hospital. And the
Mm.
doctor was excellent. The nurses were amazing. It was just, I'm really thankful looking back that I was actually in Thailand, even over
Yeah.
Canada. The care that I received there was was amazing.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. And like that's so, so key.
Yes. So it wasn't until a week and a half later that we got the lab results back, and then the doctor brought me in to tell me that it was MRSA. What the hell is
What's
MRSA?
that? Yeah, same here. I'm like, what?
And MRSA stands for methylene-resistant Staph aureus. It's a super staph infection, and it's resistant to most antibiotics, methylene-based.
Wow.
And up until the 90s, it was purely a hospital-acquired infection. So
Mhm.
people would go in for surgery, say, for example, or go into the hospitals for any kind of issue that they had. And because they can't keep everything clean and the overuse of antibiotics, this superbug started to develop.
Yes, that makes
Then they,
sense.
yeah, and then they started noticing it in public, like military barracks, anywhere where there was, it wasn't super sanitary. And the number
Hmm.
one hotspot, health clubs and gyms. Asian teacher, I had to touch something or someone that had it, and I had a small cut somewhere on my body that it got into me.
Wow. So it doesn't take very much for it to go into the body.
No, and
Wow.
they say Western medicine believes that MRSA stays with you for the rest of your life. It colonizes on your skin and it can come back at any time, anywhere on your body. And most people that I've talked to since that have had it, they've had boils all over their body. And
Wow. So that's
like,
how it like shows itself. It's like boils and like the pain like you
yes,
had.
yeah,
Wow.
boils, and it can be everywhere. A lot of times it can be in your nose, underarms, anywhere where
It's like
bacteria can grow.
warm and moist. I don't want to say, I know some people don't like that word moist, but I just said it.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And so it was quite serious. And as soon as most people die or lose their limbs from MRSA.
Holy crap.
I don't know if you remember, there was a leader of, I believe he was the Reform Party of the Quebecois, Lucien Bouchard was his name, and he was running for leader of the party in Quebec. He was campaigning and he received a pain in his leg, but he kept going, kept going, kept going. And it turned out that it was MRSA, turned into flesh eating, and he lost his leg.
So this can evolve into oh my God. Wow.
Flesh eating.
Wow.
If it turn your body septic, if it gets to your bone, into your blood, you are screwed. And we got it
Wow.
just in time. They literally had to cut almost to the bone, and I can show you that I
Yeah.
still have my scar. I can see if you can see it here. So I have that
Oh
tattoo.
yeah, yeah.
Right here is a
Yeah.
indent for all the
Wow.
years.
Wow.
Eggs, but it stayed with me. That that hole, literally. And
Yeah.
it's a reminder every day of how lucky I was.
Yeah. So is everyone, we're not medical professionals, we're just sharing, but I'm just curious if you know, like, is every individual different, like, with how quickly it could get serious, or is there kind of like a set kind of time frame? If you don't catch it past this point, it could evolve, or is it kind of individual based?
I think it definitely depends on the individual, and it being the end of the school year, it's a lot of stress. I mean,
Yeah.
all jobs have stress, but especially at the end of the year for teachers. And the Dominican is also a super warm climate. And
Yeah.
we have there's been many professional athletes that have gotten it. And funny enough, that summer I read an article in the New York Times talking about how most times when parents register their kids for sports, they're worried about them breaking bones or getting stitches. But the latest issue with playing sports was MRSA, and there were many cases. And
Wow.
was in the New York Times and was talking, because in the States itself, I believe the stat is about 80,000 people a year die of MRSA.
What? I can't believe I've never heard of this. Like, this is so educational. Like, I gotta say it again. I'm so honored you're here talking about this because, like, I'm like, people need to know these things.
Yeah, so it's super serious. And like I said, when I shared with my parents that it was MRSA, if I could mimic the sound that they made when they found that out, they're like, whoa, Ash, like this is so
Yeah.
serious.
My mom's a nurse. She's probably listening, like, Kaylee, this is bad.
Yes.
Wow.
It's super serious. So when I got, again, they took such good care of me. I was in Thailand for that month, and I went every day to clean and keep up with changing the band-aids and all of that stuff. And it really put things in perspective for me, being taken for granted, being able to, usually I would be running everywhere, never mind
Yeah.
having to like be carted off in taxis and not being able to walk around Bangkok, which is one of my favorite things in the world to do.
Yeah.
I was very limited. And the fact of like just slowing right down and stopping. And as some people know, and you're associated, every dis-ease that happens in our bodies, there's a spiritual link, there's an
Mm-hmm.
emotional. And MRSA, one of the number one things with it in the emotional sense is putting others before yourself. And
Oh.
I
Mm-hmm.
really felt, as a teacher, with everything that I did, I was running all the intramurals, coaching sports teams, teaching. I mean, I really did a lot of work, and I've thrown myself into it. It was a huge passion of mine. And it
Yeah.
was just feeling that burnout, compassion burnout.
Totally. I totally know what that burnout feels like.
And then it manifested in my body. And our
Yeah.
bodies hold, our cells hold memories of
Oh
trauma,
my God, right?
tons of things that also come up with that whole dis-ease in our body.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up because it is so freaking true. Like any traumas, anything, the body remembers. Like it stores it
Yes.
somewhere, and I can so relate to that because I went through different. I think every human's experienced their own traumas. I went through some, but in my adult life, experienced something that was more definitely rocked me more, and it definitely like the tension in my body. It's not like it used to be because it's been many years since that and lots of healing, all the good things, but definitely store that tension and like I don't want to say fear, but there was a lot of fear around that situation and just healing from it afterwards. And it just definitely it's there. So people listening, like be mindful when things are happening in the body, like do a check for a second and be like, okay, wait, what's going on with my stress levels, my emotions? Has something big happened in my life? Anything. It could just be the day to day, what you're used to as well. Like, like was working, passionate, loving her job, but it still can manifest exactly like you said in the body. I love that you brought that up.
There's an excellent book, Messages from the Body. I forget the author, but I can get back to you and we can
Yeah.
make a note of it. But it goes through every single ailment and the spiritual, emotional connection to that dis-ease.
What? I need to read this. That's so
That's
fascinating to me. Wow.
like an encyclopedia, like all the ailments from A to Z.
Wow. That's awesome. I'm definitely going to look that up because I just it is fascinating to me, and it's good, I think, to be aware of the other sides of it. Like it's not just like, oh, you're hurt. It's a physical, no, it could be linked to something else. Like I fully believe that like our bodies will scream at us if we're not listening to our spirit and our mind and our emotions. Like our bodies are going to be like, "Okay, I'm going to make you listen. Just let me keep on
Absolutely.
going here."
Yeah. It literally stopped me in my tracks.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to move in the world. And when I got home back to Ontario, I went to see my family doctor and told him what had happened. And he was like, "Where did you get that?" And then I explained my what I was doing, and he's like, "Okay, Ash, I'm gonna let you know that this is super serious, and I do not do this often, but I'm writing you off of work for at least 6 months because we need to keep an eye on it. This is a potentially fatal situation." And
Right.
like I said, the Western system does believe that it continues to come,
Hmm.
and so I needed to be super mindful. He had I followed everything that he had told me to do, and went through the summer, and I was really like, between the antibiotics and the infection, I felt really not myself.
Of course. Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine, but especially if your body's not used to taking medicine like that. Like I'm not, I don't take, if I can help it, I don't take anything like that. But if I do even have to take like an Advil or something, my body's like, whoa, girl,
Yeah,
what'd you just put in me?
the same for me. And I've always been more into natural medicines, and it was
Mm,
just really crazy how this happened. But then again, it was making me reflect upon what was happening in my life that was I
absolutely.
not dealing with. and
Yeah.
and on a side note, there was a lot of other situations that I had also faced as an adult, and a
Hmm.
lot of them had to do with physically abusive relationships.
Okay,
And
we're connected because that's what happened to me as well. So I feel you there.
yeah, and so I also knew that I was not taking care of myself because I was medicating with drugs and alcohol
Yep.
for,
The
for
numbing, right?
the numbing for
Yeah.
many years before that.
Yep. I
and
feel
and,
you.
and then again, this was a message. This was a big message that you are not taking care of yourself, Ash.
Divine
and
intervention is here. Hmm.
and on October the 5th, I had gone out the night before because I hadn't really been out at all. And um the town where I'm from is the second largest Oktoberfest outside of Germany, Kitchener.
Oh, wow.
And so I went out for Oktoberfest just to get out and be
Yeah.
social.
That's
And
like Irish Fest in the Miramichi.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yes, yes. I forgot you're from there.
Right.
Yeah. Um, the next day, I felt that same sickening feeling on my finger, and I
Oh,
was
like what you
thinking,
felt in
oh,
your leg, you felt, oh my God.
and I knew that feeling. I'll never forget it. So I
Mm-mm.
was like thinking, holy shit, like no way. And it was a Saturday. So I called the Ontario Health Line and then asked if there was a doctor on call close to me, and they gave me a number. So I went to the doctor's office, and he said, I can't tell you right away. We have to wait a couple days. And I said, okay, I know, but I know that it's back. And I was
Yeah.
thinking, oh my God, I can't deal with this again. Sure enough, got the reports back, and it was back, and I was just devastated,
Of course.
devastated. So I went to see my family doctor and I said, I don't understand. I followed everything that you said. And how could this come back? And he said, well, your hands are something that you use a lot and it's easy to get cuts on them. So that's probably how it came back through into your system. And I
Wow.
was thinking, oh my goodness, like, not again. Like, there's no way.
Mm-hmm.
When I went, Kaylee, into the darkest space I've ever been in my life, I've always had so much energy and enthusiasm and positivity. Like, my
Yeah.
nickname around the world is the Energizer Bunny.
Oh, I love that. There's a reason we're connected today. I love that so much.
Yeah, and it was just was a kick in every part of my body. Not only was
Yeah.
my physical body in so much pain, emotion, I could barely walk a stair without starting to cry. And I
Oh
played
my God.
varsity rugby, you know, and
Yeah, so this was a foreign thing for you. And I don't know about you, but I found dealing with like the aftermath of trauma was foreign's the perfect word for how I felt. Like I was like, who am I right now? Like certain emotions and feelings and thoughts, I was like, because I felt also like people be like, oh, there's the sunshine, like the same thing, like positive, like always just naturally, that's just how I always was. And then when all these things started to happen, it was like, what the fuck is this? Like it was very challenging for me to come to terms with it at first because I didn't know who I was or what was going on. But yeah, so like how you must have been feeling during that time.
just absolutely devastating. And like I said, I felt disgusting physically. I
Hmm.
felt emotionally, mentally just in a black hole. I
Yep.
can't explain that. And I've never had those feelings. Like, the
Hmm.
clindamycin is what they give me. It was one of the three antibiotics at work. And that just terrorizes your physical system.
Yeah.
And like I said, and the links of the infection between my mental health, my physical health, my emotional health, I didn't want to, I didn't even want to be here, to be honest.
Hmm.
It was nasty.
The dark night of the soul for sure.
Mhm. It was brutal. And about 3 weeks into October, I had a conversation with my parents that I just said, I need to get the hell out of here. I cannot be here anymore.
Hmm.
I need to go somewhere and deal with this because I can't deal with this for the rest of my life.
That's
And
right.
a friend at the time was holding health and wellness retreats in Mexico. And so I made the decision to go there at the end of December. So I
Mhm.
flew in.
Was this 2018 now?
No, it's
Or
still 2017.
okay, okay.
So I did fly in like New Year's Eve day
Hmm.
to Mexico. I flew into Guadalajara and then I went to a small town called Ajijic, and it's on Lake Chapala, which is the
I like
biggest
the name. Ahihi.
it's the biggest freshwater lake in Mexico. And
Nice.
so I went, and my friend hosted these retreats at a beautiful spa overlooking the town. And
Mm.
the first thing that we did when I got there was a temescal, which is known in Canada would be an inipi or a sweat lodge.
Mhm.
And right away, just even having that ceremony, I started to feel more like myself. And
Yes,
then,
that's so cleansing. Yeah.
yeah, and then throughout the property, there are hot pools, and the water is comes from the core of the earth. Underneath the lake, there's three volcanoes. Like,
Whoa. Oh, that sounds magical. Oh my God.
it's been named a magical town. There really is an energy there that's super special, and it
Mm.
is like a vortex. And just being on that property was super healing. They have all kinds of
Yeah.
beautiful temples and spots that you can just relax and
Hmm.
enjoy those healing waters and the
Oh my
scene.
God. I like when people try and say nature's not healing, I'm like, yes, it is. Like I am a nature girl. So if I need to be grounded, like that's what I have to do. I'm like, let me just go to the ocean or just like I even just touching a tree for a bit, I feel it and I absorb it. And I'm so grateful. Like we Mother Earth, we are so lucky to have her. And I'm like, we as humans just need to treat her better because she provides so much to us that's so like necessary for our healing and our growth. So I love that you were able to be in a place that cultivated that energy because like I get that. There's certain places you go and you can just feel it. You're like, okay, yeah, this is what's up.
Yeah, and just having been in such a place in my life, just being there in the surroundings was super healing.
Yeah.
My friend went to another ceremony and she was telling me about this ceremony, how she was doing medicine from a frog. And I was asking her, well, what is that? And she
Yeah.
it's medicine that comes from a frog and it basically jacks your immune system. I was thinking, and before I had gone to Mexico, I started to do some research on natural ways to cure MRSA. And I did a
Yeah.
lot of reading about black seed oil, garlic, and up and before this time, I was taking bleach baths on the recommendation from my doctor because I
Like
looked it
actual
up.
bleach?
Yes,
What?
there would be 3 caps into a bath of water because that was supposed to cleanse your skin. I was looking into all of these things and I was actually, making suggestions. Should I try this to my doctor? Because I was like just devastated that I never wanted to experience this again. It was horrifying, Kelly, and just like the
Absolutely.
paranoia of like having to wash clothes every time I wore them and that I'm gonna pick it up anywhere again. You know,
Yeah.
start
That
to
would
go.
affect your quality of life for sure.
It was awful.
Mm.
So when my friends are talking about this medicine, I was super in, and she said, "Okay, I'm going to introduce you to the practitioner." So I went and observed their ceremony, and then I talked to the practitioner afterwards and told her my situation, and she just said that she could do a ceremony for me, and she would do a lower dose because my body had been through a lot of trauma, and,
Yeah.
and just to ease into it.
Mm-hmm.
She explained a little bit more about Kambo, and Kambo is actually the most natural antibiotic, antiviral, antimicrobial, anti-inflammatory substance in the world. It
Wow.
it's known as the vaccina de floresta, so the vaccine of the forest.
Oh,
And
give me that. Give me that all the way.
and I was thinking was, my energy levels were so low, I didn't want to deal with this ever again, and at this point I was willing to try anything. I'm thinking,
Hmm.
okay, I get
Especially where
burned.
you're open to natural medicine anyway, like you might as well, right?
Yes, and then thinking like I get burnt and then they're going to put frog secretion into my skin, like what? But
Yeah,
fuck
so
it.
how does it work? Maybe we'll dive into that after. Yeah, keep going with your story. I have so
Yeah.
many questions. I'm like, tell me
Okay.
more.
So, we had my ceremony, and the practitioner put 5 points on, and it's a purgative medicine.
Hmm.
So you have to fast for 6 to 8 hours beforehand. So that's why it's usually done in the morning,
Okay.
so that you've fasted throughout the night and just wake up. And you need to drink 1.5 to 2 liters of water before the medicine goes on you.
Okay. Oh my God, I'd be
It's
peeing every 5 minutes.
very uncomfortable. People think, oh yeah, I can do it, but in the moment it can be very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
So drank my water, the medicine goes on, and within it took me longer to purge, but I did start to purge. And and like I said, at this time I could barely walk a stair without wanting to cry, my entire body being in pain. And
Hmm.
after this ceremony, I just felt this incredible calmness come over me, and I did a little video afterwards, and then just hung out. The next day I swam 30 lengths in the infinity pool.
Stop. Oh
It was
my
like, I
God.
guess the Campbell works. Like looking at my friends, like, holy, what is this medicine?
Yeah, what is this? Where can I get more? Wow, that's freaking amazing.
It was
Wow.
it was insane. And I was just starting to finally feel back in my body. Like,
Yes.
wow. And I needed to know more. So I talked more to the practitioner, and I was there for about another week. And then came back, and then April 2018, I decided to go back.
Hmm.
One of my friends, she was teaching up in Nunavut and she was going to join me, but she wasn't able to because of the weather up there. They couldn't fly out.
Mm.
So she basically got trapped. So I was back there by myself and I met two incredible friends there. We just bonded right away.
I
And
like that. A nice soul connection, eh? You can't like, you know, when it's a soul connection because it's so natural. I love those kinds of connections.
we're like in our own world, like
Yes.
instantly met and recognized each other from
Hmm.
wherever we've known each other in
That's
other
right.
lives, whatever. And we were there for 3 days, and then we got offered to do ayahuasca ceremony.
Hmm.
So
Also
ayahuasca
very cleansing and healing. Have you done that prior or was this the first
that
one?
was my
Okay.
first time.
Wow.
So ayahuasca, just for people that are listening, it is a psychoactive plant. Well, the ayahuasca is not. It has to have another ingredient, usually chacruna, mixed with it to bring out the DMT. And natives been using it in the jungle for many, many, many years for healing any kind of physical issues, mental, emotional. It's a visionary medicine where you get many, many messages from the medicine, and it's known to
Wow.
harm their
I'm
spirits.
so intrigued. I think it would be very powerful and
It for
cleansing.
sure, it really, really is. And the ayahuasquero and his partner that were serving the medicine, they are incredible, incredible people and musicians. And it was an amazing experience. So it was 8 hours. And then my two friends and I, we went back to our rooms. We slept for 2 hours and then we had Kambo in the morning.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So with the ayahuasca, do you have to prep for that too, or is it just go for it?
you do. There's contraindications that need to be taken into consideration. So if you're on certain types of medication, SSRs, for
Right.
example, you cannot do that, receive that medicine, and you do need to follow a special diet before, where you minimize salt, sugar, meat, etc.
Yeah.
Depending on the practitioner and how long you're going to be doing the medicine, it varies, but there are definitely rules that you need to follow before partaking in
Right.
this medicine.
Okay. So you had one cleansing healing experience, and then the next day it was Cambo.
And that was 2 hours later.
Oh, two
And
hours later. Oh my
two
God.
hours. So the lady, our practitioner for Kambo, she was also in the ceremony, and she said before we went to the ceremony that, let's just see how it goes, and we'll play it by ear.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I had a colonics that afternoon, and then we did the Aya ceremony, which is also purgative. And for
Mhm.
me, I was purging North and South Pole throughout that ceremony. It was really, really, really deep because again, I had had this infection twice
Hmm.
in within a year and within
Wow.
6 months actually. And then we got a knock on the door, so we went up to do the Kambo, and a couple of the ladies were talking who had done Aya many, many times, and they were just saying, wow, that was the strongest medicine that we've experienced. And I was thinking, holy cow, well, for our first time,
Yeah.
like, girls are, they've had the medicine many, many times, but it was very, very strong. And yeah, it was difficult at times. These
Of
medicines
course.
are sacred medicines, are serious. It's not
Hmm.
taking this. You're there to do your healing.
Absolutely. It like
Because
I would, it's not something you take lightly. Like you're ready, you're there, you're in it.
I mean, and then the visions, a lot of time the visions, it's grandmother medicine that can be very, very strong and firm and show
Mhm.
you where you're messing up, basically.
Yes. And sometimes we need that. Like,
Alignment. And
yeah.
I think that a lot of people are afraid to do these medicines because you have to face your shadow.
Yep. Yeah. That the shadow's like, hey, I'm here. I need you to love me and pay attention to me, and I'm gonna make you notice me. Like, yes, oh, absolutely. Like, that's what I mean, like healing in general. It's like I always say, I'm like, it's not this beautiful. I wish it was this beautiful, sparkly rainbow butterfly, but it's not. It's the dark night of the soul for a reason. But I think it increases our gratitude because you know how painful and sticky those parts were to pull the layers back and get in there and get real with yourself and be like, okay, what's going on here? So I think it's like painful and challenging, yes, but so worthwhile once you kind of and it's cool too because you get to know yourself. You're like, oh, I think it's awesome.
That's and that's how you grow, when you
Yes.
can really accept all parts of you, you know?
Yes.
I mean, we are so many times we're always trying to be better and do this and do that. And yet we are perfect as we are, but it's for
Yes.
ourselves to embrace
Absolutely.
all parts of us, and nothing else matters in this world
Hmm.
really. And even people, we give our power away by allowing others opinions of us, or to distract us from our true paths. But really, we're here to love ourselves and get to know ourselves in this lifetime. I that's
Preach.
uh,
Preach, mama. I'm like, yes, yes, yes. I'm like, one more
that's my
time for the people in the back.
personal
Yes.
belief. Can I get a hell yeah?
Yes, yes. You are with the right audience and co-host today because that is well, that's what's up here. Like 100% mic drop.
Woo.
Yeah.
So we go into Campbell, and in the middle of purging, I get this message, and I'm right in the middle of a purge.
Yeah.
It was like the frog was speaking to me. Ash, you need to learn how to work with this medicine. You need to train. You need to go and learn, and you need to bring this medicine back to Canada. And,
Yes.
and that's it. And I was kind of like, what the like, why are you getting this message right now? Like, in between both purges, and like, what is this really happening? It's
Yeah.
it's not psychoactive. Kambo is not psychoactive. So I'm thinking, like, why am I even getting a message like this? But
Yeah.
again, when spirit comes knocking, you listen.
The door is open. Yeah.
Really, so finished that ceremony, and the practitioner was like, man, Ash, wow, you did an awesome job, because she was in the ceremony with me in the 2 hours before, where I was purging my lifetimes away,
Yeah.
purging lifetimes. And here I come in the Campbell. You would think that it was like, no, it was still more, 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 more.
Wow, that's incredible. Like it blows my mind because sometimes physically you're like, what else is in me to give? But it's like
Yeah,
so spiritual. Like, oh my God, it's amazing.
it was wild. So I finished the ceremony, and I just had so much energy. I was like, there's no way that I'm going to bed. So I went down to one of the pools and just sat with this, and kind of said, okay, like,
Mhm.
let it happen. And I talked to my practitioner to see if she would be able to teach me. And she said, I would love to. I'm just not at that place yet.
Right.
I myself have been just working with this medicine, and she said, but I think it would be amazing for you to do it, Ash, and like look into some of the other organizations that are teaching.
Yeah.
And she said, and too, it's really important to go to the source.
Hmm.
So I put that out, and then I kept people kept coming along to my path, and there was a couple practitioners that had worked and trained with the IAKP, which is the International Association of Kambo Practitioners.
Oh, cool.
And so I started looking into them, and I found that they were offering a course in October in Sri Lanka. And Sri Lanka is somewhere that I had always wanted to go. I met
Hmm.
a German grandmother on one of my many times in Thailand, and she said, Ash, if you ever get the chance to go to Sri Lanka, go. It's what Thailand was like in the 80s. It's super beautiful.
Oh, beautiful.
And so that always stuck with me. And then I looking at this IAKP page and seeing that they're doing a training in Sri Lanka. And I mean, the frogs are from the upper Amazon base it. So Brazil, Peru, Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana. But the IKP offered trainings in different spots in the world so it would be accessible.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. And what are the chances of all the places, like of all the
Yes,
places? The
they
universe
do.
is like, this is for you.
Absolutely. And so I messaged them and they said that they were full, but they would let me know if there was any cancellations.
Yeah.
So in my head, spirit was saying, "Don't worry, Ash, you're going."
Hmm.
And sure enough, a week later, I get a message saying that a spot had opened up, and if I wanted in, sign up. And so I did, and the course started, Kelly, October the 5th.
Stop it right
Year
now. I
day.
can't. The universe synchronicities they'll never get old for me. Like it's
I know.
always so cool. I'm like, fuck yes, universe. I see you. Message received.
Yes. So October the 5th, 2018, a year to the day that I got my second infection and said, like, I cannot do this. I can't deal with this. I was on my, well, I had gone the beginning of October to Sri Lanka and then
Mhm.
did my course. It was incredible. I just thrived and in the one of the first practical applications that we have to serve another person.
Mhm.
I was mixing the medicine and a message just came through because I was so calm and it was just like, you've done this thousands of times
Oh my
before.
God. Your past lives, like that you are a healer. Wow.
Literally, it was just so clear. I was so calm and it got me thinking that everything that I've done up until this moment in time, from being a lifeguard to a babysitter to a coach to a counselor to a teacher to a bartender, all of
Yeah.
those things have prepared me for this role in holding sacred medicines.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. And healing others and like using everything you've learned from all your teaching, all your natural ways and being able to give that to the world. That's so beautiful.
And just being able to hold that space for people to do their healing.
Yes.
Every ceremony, the person is with the frog, you know, and it's their ceremony. I'm there to make sure that they're safe and
Yeah.
held in that way and assist in whatever way. But it's them doing their healing work with that spirit of the animal and with that
Yeah.
medicine. I'm just really a guide.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I have a question because I need to know. I'm like, do you have your own little frogs or like where or does the like what how does that work?
No, so the frogs only produce their secretion in the jungle, in their habitat.
Okay, cool. And where does it come from? Their mouth or like what how do people get it?
On their legs, I actually brought a little frog here.
Oh, so cute.
I had the opportunity in March 2020 to go to the jungle and to collect medicine. So
Wow.
this is the color of the Kambo frog. It's the Kambo frog is known as the giant monkey tree frog or the Phila medusa bicolor, which means two colors. So underneath they have this super yellow, and on here is this bright green. And they're big, and they live in really tall trees, and they're nocturnal.
Is that like like what a size is of one or is it
No, they would be
wow.
like
They're
like maybe
big babies.
so about this size, but when their arms and legs stretch out, they're really long.
Wow.
I think you have a picture of me with the frog, and that's
I
what they
do.
look like sitting there.
Was
So
that from when you were getting the medicine? Oh, so cool.
yeah, and it was so hot in the jungle, and there were so many mosquitoes. Hashtag first world problems, but it
Yeah.
was really like whoa! It was an experience and a half. So the frogs live in really high trees, and in order to call them, you imitate their sound, and it's kind of like a bark. It's like a
Okay.
anyways, our guide, he was imitating the sounds, and then two females came down. And how they do it typically in the jungle is the frogs, you call them and they'll come right in onto
They'll
your
come right to you? Wow.
right to you, and they're super friendly. And then in order to collect the medicine, typically what they do is tie the arms and the legs. It's a little bit uncomfortable, but it doesn't hurt them. The frogs are not
They
killed
keep coming back to the people, so
because
there's
they
no
want to
yeah.
share their medicine. You know,
Yeah. It's
that's
sacred.
part of here is to share their medicine, and they love to do it.
Yeah.
And it was an incredible experience. So I wanted to show you, this is what a typical Kambo stick looks like. So it's about a
Okay.
third of a ruler, and you can see the secretion on there, that sticky part.
Yeah.
It it's dried onto the stick. But what happens is the frogs are tied, and there's a little tool that you and irritate their nose.
Mhm.
They're stretched out, so that causes them to produce a secretion, which is their defense mechanism.
Yes.
Other animals are trying to harm them, they can produce this, and most animals will be deterred by that.
Okay.
So then the frog is stretched out, and the secretion is all like on the side here, and then on this side of their body. and
Mhm.
and so it's like a secretion that looks kind of like glue, really
Okay.
white. And then you just take a stick. So you have your Kambo stick. I'm just gonna get that. It jumped, literally jumped off the frog on the stick.
Spirit is with us.
Yeah, and the frog like here. So you scrape the side with the one tool and then put it onto the stick.
Mhm.
and and just for 5 minutes. 5 minutes was all it took. So I
Nice.
was singing and just praying with the frogs and thanking them for their medicine. And typically it takes 5 to 6 frogs secretion to fill a stick.
Mhm.
Each female gave me a full stick of medicine.
One female. Whoa.
One female gave me a full stick. The other one gave me the other side of the stick, which the man that we were working with, our guide, he said he had never seen that. But it was just incredible. It was incredible.
Mhm. And it's like
How
further confirmation, like you're in the right place, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. Like that is amazing.
it was a magical experience, and very important. I think that if practitioners have the opportunity, there it's a great way to not only go back and to learn where the source of the medicine is coming from, but also to be in sacred reciprocity, to go
Mm.
and work with different communities and give back.
Yes,
Because
preach.
we're not here to be taking. It is really important to go and source the medicine, work with people, and give back by volunteering, even spending some time teaching English or playing
Yeah.
with kids, bringing down whatever medical supplies that the communities that you're working with need. You know,
Yeah.
it's very important to be in that sacred reciprocity. And it's super
Yes.
generous that the frogs love to give the medicine, and we're using this medicine from the south up here in the north. So I think
Mhm.
it's very important, and that's my belief. But
Oh,
I
I agree. It's I think in life too, it we have to have that gratitude and that like you just said, that reciprocation for others. Like we're all just walking each other home. We're all humans like and animals of course helping us out as well, but we have to show gratitude, respect and mutual love, you know? So I think that's awesome.
yes, for sure. So that was my experience. It was actually I went to the jungle in March 2020, and they shut down the world the day after we
Yeah.
arrived to the jungle. So I was locked down in the jungle for 2 months during
Wow.
the situation that the world faced in the last 2 years. And then
Hmm.
finally we got out and spent another month in Lima. And then I eventually got a repatriation flight back to the UK, where I flew out of. And I decided to stay in Europe for the summer because I was just not feeling coming back to Canada. So I had been working with Kambo for a year. And then Bufo, the toad medicine, was really calling to me. And I had an opportunity to do the toad medicine in Toronto with a Mexican practitioner in 2019 in November. And
Hmm.
I went with one of my best friends to that experience. And I had done a lot of research on Bufo. It had been calling to me for quite some time. So I'd done a lot of reading and got information to make sure that, I felt comfortable in the ceremony. And I had talked to my
Yeah.
Kambo teacher, and she had worked with the medicine quite a bit. And she told me one of the things I can recommend the most, Ash, is that you ask how much medicine that they're going to give you,
Hmm.
to kind of jump over to my experience with the toad medicine now. But I had done a ton of research, and there was some things that were just kind of red flags, but I was
Hmm.
ignoring it because I was thinking, I had thought that I needed to go to Mexico to experience this medicine. And when this opportunity came up, and I had done a lot of reading about the practitioner online, and there was all glowing reviews, and we got to the space, and it was one of the things that was really standing out to me as a red flag was that they were holding ceremony for 2 to 3 people an hour every hour for like 8 hours.
Ooh.
And I was thinking, this is weird, like
Yeah. That
already
seems
it
like a
was
lot.
Bufo factory. And it was, but I was still like determined because I wanted to do it in my 40th year.
Yeah.
and and that kind of overrode my like intuition around the red.
Right.
And anyway, we get there, and it's myself and my best friend who, it was one of her first times to do the toad is known as the god molecule. It is the most powerful psychedelic in the world, mostly because of it's such a quick time. Like you're in the
Okay.
medicine from anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes.
Okay.
Kambo is not psychoactive. The toad is. It's
Okay.
considered to be the most powerful psychedelic in the world.
Wow.
Um, there are lots of other very powerful medicines. This being the quickest is another reason why it's considered to be so powerful, because you have
Right.
a journey within, it could be 10 to 30 minutes, where some other medicines it's 8 hours longer.
Yeah.
We went into the medicine, and I was first, and I had asked the lady that was running the event 3 times how much of the dose, and she never answered me. And so again, and then coming into the ceremony, it was just super fast, and there was no, I want to say,
Doesn't feel sacred the way you're describing it.
it was just come in like quick introduction to the practitioner, and then they like told us to sit on these mats, and I was kind of like, well. And the next thing I knew, the practitioner is holding up this prayer for me to say out loud, and I hadn't even put my stuff down. I need to go to the bathroom. I didn't even get a chance to really like say anything to my friend, and I was just kind of overwhelmed, and
Yeah.
you're nervous too. And then it's like a little bit intimidating going into this dark room. There's only candles,
Of
and
course.
you want to know your practitioner and who they are. It was super cold, and looking back, I'm thinking, oh my goodness. But again, it showed me why this had to happen the way it did. So they told me to start breathing, and then they just basically held the vaporizer up to my mouth. And because I asked again, just as we were before we're doing it, how much are you giving me? And the lady was just like, don't worry, just trust, just trust. And then it was like my whole inner being was screaming, but then it was just like, okay. And then next thing I know, the medicine is being put to my mouth, and then they're holding my nose, which is also
No,
it's
no.
not for me. It's not for me. I know that there are some practitioners do that, but that was really scary. It was very
Mm.
invasive for me in my space, and then I didn't have control. So that it was literally blast me with medicine, hold my nose so I can't breathe, and that stays inside of me. And then I was gone. That I don't remember anything, Kelly, except for when I was coming to, I heard a voice. I thought it was music, and then I heard and then it was coming clearer and clearer as a woman's voice, and it was. And then I realized, oh man, that's my higher self talking to me. But it was so much that I couldn't grasp it. And then I came out and I was like really dizzy, super hot. And like I said, my best friend was beside me. And then I slowly turned over and they were all standing around my best friend and she was in rigor. And my first thoughts were like, oh my God. I'm like, she's dead. Oh my God. Her mom's going to kill me. What the hell am I doing? And then she started to groan. And I was like, like this. And I was just like, oh my God, get me out of here. And all the reading that I had done before about Bufo was like, you were literally like a newborn baby. It is one of the most powerful experiences in the world. The first things you see, hear, everything is crucial because you were like a newborn baby. And I was,
Yeah.
get
You
me
were
out
just
of here.
met with like bad vibes. Not good.
For like, it was horrific. And then they had this other room that it was supposed to be for people that were, having a longer experience. God forbid you went over your hour. That was
Yeah,
a lot of
exactly. How do you
insight.
even put a time on something like that, right?
Actually, this, you never know what's going to happen. And this, we'll
Mm,
talk about it a little bit more, why I'm such an advocate for practitioners that are safe, and you knowing your practitioner, knowing where their medicine's coming from, knowing how much they serve, how much experience they have, what kind of environment you are going to be in.
exactly.
And so the assistant brought me into this room which was so bright, and there was other people still left over there. It was messy. They're like, oh, just lie down. And everything was so irritating because I was so sensitive. Like they were whispering, I could feel like it was in my
Mm,
ear. And then finally they left, and I was just like, the messages started coming. Ash, you need to learn how to go and work with this medicines. You need to be an advocate as a female practitioner. And it's not to say anything, but a lot there has been a lot of abuse throughout all of these sacred medicines, a lot. And you need to ensure that clients are in a safe environment. You're going to hold them, they're going to be prepped as much as possible. You're going to
hmm.
make it a safe space, just as you have created with your clients for Kambo. you
Yeah,
know
and even the little kids you taught swimming, like you made it safe for them. Yeah.
all of those gifts that I have for loving, unjudging, holding people in that space. It was like, you got to go and you got to learn from the best teacher. You got to seek out the best teacher in the world, and you need to do this.
Yeah,
There needs to be more women in sacredelics.
absolutely. Hmm.
So that was November 2019. And then fast forward, go to the jungle, have that experience, get out in Europe. I went to visit a friend that I volunteered at a Kambo training course for him, and he had studied to serve ayahuasca. So I actually did a plant dieta, which is another day topic we can talk about.
Yeah,
That
I
there's
was gonna say we're gonna have to do a series because you have so much knowledge. This is
yeah.
amazing.
So um, I did a plant dieta, which is typically done in the jungle in isolation. And again, you have to follow a super strict diet. We'll go into it another time, but that was for 2.5 weeks that I did that. And then coming out of that dieta in July, I got a message because I had spoke with the, my future teacher. I had sought out some information from other sources, and then I had sent her a message just before I went to the jungle, and something said, message her again. And it was August, and I sent her a message. She's in Mexico, a Mexican woman, and she was recommended by a few different people, one of them being my Kambo teachers. And I asked her if she had any trainings coming up. And mind you, this is in 2020 when all of that
Yeah, the
stuff
world
was
was
happening.
yeah.
Ashley was in 9 countries that year.
That's amazing. I am here for that.
So I messaged her and asked if she had any trainings coming up. And she said, yeah, we do. It will be in Mexico and it's in a month's time. So, fill out the application and we'll have chat on the phone, and you can let me know if you want to come. And I decided to go. Said it's 2020, why not?
Let's do it.
Go. And I went and did my training in Mexico. It was absolutely incredible. And thinking about it too, you know, I was pretty intimidated to going there having had that experience, but I just knew that I needed to go and learn. And
Yes, your soul was like, yeah, get there. You need this. I like love when your soul, your intuition, your higher self, I love that feeling because like you don't question it. You're like, I don't know how it's all going to work out, but I know I need to do this. So I love that your higher self, you're so in tune with it because it's awesome.
it was just, I'm thinking, God, you are crazy, girl. 2020, having had that very scary experience with this medicine, but it really pushed me again. And the same thing with the Kambo, that this is needed, and you're being called, Ash.
Yes, and doing it in the right way, which is so key, like you said, because it is so sacred, you know?
Absolutely. And we're talking about powerful, powerful medicines that, if misused, can cause many different issues.
Yeah.
So I did my training, and then I decided to go back to Ahihi, which is the town where I first
To
had.
swim in the 30 laps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did in the pool. And I experienced all of these sacred medicines. This was in Mexico, and I went back to the town to give an offering to the land to say thank you. And then I ended up staying there for a year, pretty much. I just came back last August, and I came back with the mission and intention to bring the amphibians to Canada. And I mean, there are definitely other practitioners in Canada, but my mission was to restore the use of these medicines in Canada.
I love that. And how do you, this, like, once you get the secretion, like, for instance, when you're in Canada, like, how do you get it? Like, do you have some stored or like, how does that work exactly?
Yeah, I have some stored, and then I have a connection with. So in Peru, it's the Matsis tribe that works with Kambo. In
Hmm.
Brazil, there's many different tribes. In Peru, it's the Matsis, and so I have a connection with a man who's one of the chiefs, and that's where the supply of the medicine comes from. And I will try to get myself down to the jungle at least once a year or every 2 years to collect and just to give back,
Hmm.
and do some work down there myself.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I was curious because I was like, how does she get the stuff? Like, where does it come from if she's in Canada? So that makes sense.
Yeah, and Kaylee, just jumping back to our conversation because I kind of skipped right into the Bufo. But what I wanted to say, so since I did Cambo, I never had another infection of MRSA.
Yeah.
And one of the peptides, so Cambo, the secretion is all peptides.
Hmm.
Without going into a big science lesson, peptides are small chains of amino acids, and they're produced naturally in our body. So they've isolated 9 of the peptides in the secretion, but the indigenous people believe there's over 200. So Cambo does different things to our body. And our body's unlocked so easily to it because it recognizes a substance,
Hmm.
because we produce it in our body. So one of
Yeah.
the peptides is what causes you to purge. There's delmorphine in it. It's one of the ones that they've isolated. It's 40 to 50 times stronger than morphine.
Wow.
And then dermceptin is another peptide in it, and it helps to clear any type of bacteria, mold, fungus in your body. And I know that is the peptide that cleared the MRSA from my
Yeah.
body. Cambo has helped to clear cancer from people's body, Lyme, any kind of autoimmune. It contains neuropeptides, so it's really good for people with anxiety, depression,
Hmm.
PTSD, because the
Hmm.
neuropeptides can break the blood brain barrier and go right into your brain to help clear. Originally, it was used for hunting magic, medical, so clearing malaria, snake bites, and for clearing of panema or bad energy.
Okay, cool.
So Kambo, that's originally what it was used for. And without making any kind of medical claims, I just know this for myself personally because it has cleared the MRSA from my body since I've
Yeah,
worked.
you've lived it.
Yeah, and I've worked with two other clients that their bodies were riddled with MRSA. One woman, she found me from the States, she found me online and she came up to Canada and I spent 4 days with her, probably did 6 ceremonies. She's
Wow.
never had MRSA again.
That's
And it,
incredible. I quick question too, with like how long and how many, does the length or number of ceremony depend on the person as well, or is there okay,
absolutely. Yeah.
okay.
So if, say, for example, we were working on a certain issue like cancer,
Hmm.
you know, depending where it was, how advanced it is, we would do, we'd set up a program that would decide how many treatments and what's necessary. Okay. And like I said, again, there's no medical claims, but I have seen myself personally,
Hmm.
and I have had many clients that have experienced all kinds of benefits from this medicine.
Yes. Oh my God, I'm so intrigued. I'm just like, I want to know more. I want it done on me.
Yeah.
Oh, I wanted
So
to ask too for like how I know you travel because just from us speaking, but how do you offer your services? Do you do I don't want us to call it a tour, but how like because you were in New Brunswick and I know you were in Manitoba, Ontario, so how do you do that?
I really felt called because I have connections throughout Canada, and I felt called when I came back to start in Manitoba, and I was just there and present and offering these medicines. And there, like I said, there are practitioners throughout Canada, and the ability for me being non-attached and without children, I have
Mhm.
the ability that I can move quite easily. And I know that there are many people who want access to the medicine. So typically what I've done, how it's worked out this year is it seems to be I'm 2 months in one province, come back home for maybe 2 months, go to another province, come back home, etc. And it has kind of been a tour this year. And
Yeah, Cambo tour.
the amphibians on the road.
Yeah.
And it's been absolutely incredible. And what I've really been encouraging people to do, this is kind of developed organically, is what I've called the program. And it's 3 Cambos and then a Bufo, usually in the span of a week. And after the basic treatment with Cambo, I can work with chakras, meridians, and ear points
Mhm.
to pinpoint different ailments or afflictions. And as you know, chakras are energy points. So putting medicine, it doesn't guarantee that it's going to do the specific thing that you want, but it's a little bit of a push for the frog to go in that
Yeah.
direction. And
Oh,
I've seen
absolutely.
incredible results working with chakras and meridians and ear points. So
Hmm.
each ceremony builds on it, each other, and you go deeper with the medicine. And then having your body physically, mentally, physically prepped for the Bufo, I think is really, really, really important. And I know that
Hmm.
it's not for everybody and it's not feasible, but definitely really encourage clients to do at least one Kambo before stepping into the medicine with Bufo.
Yeah, I think that's so smart because you're still gonna get the purging and healing without the psychedelic part of it, because that can be kind of intimidating to like
Absolutely.
that. The psychedelic part kind of intimidates me a little bit. Like I would definitely want to start Cambo and then go.
Yeah, and it gives yourself time to prepare your body for this experience with the Bufo because it is very
Yeah.
strong. And they're both amphibian medicines, so they have a different spirit than plant medicines, which all medicines for me are extremely beneficial, but it is definitely a different energy, and those amphibians really work well together. You would not do Kambo after Bufo for at least a month.
Okay.
Beforehand is okay, but afterwards you want to give that medicine the toe the space to integrate and just be with that medicine.
Yeah, and like you were saying, it's like the newborn baby experience. So like it makes sense to me. I'm like, okay, yeah, you need to give that time to marinate.
Absolutely. And just be in a space and allowing those messages to continue to come through.
And you're going to speak, I know only on your experience, but did you find the messages that were coming through? I know just from the stories, the Bufa was a lot, but like with Cambo too, like, are they sporadic? Was it a lot for you all at once? And did it continue to happen like after you were done the ceremony?
Absolutely. And the thing
Yeah.
is, it's like you change your frequency and your field. So the messages continue to come through. And like I said, Kambo isn't psychoactive, but after the first maybe three ceremonies for myself personally, I started to get messages. And most of the time in the first ceremonies are really in the physicality because it is not an easy ceremony. It is
Mm,
called warrior medicine or deal medicine for a reason. It is very difficult, but people can do it. You know, a lot of times
yeah.
people are scared and you don't know your own strength, and it's 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That medicine is typically on 20 to 30 minutes, but the real intense part is about 15 of those minutes.
Yeah. And it is, like you said, like we are so capable of so much more than I think sometimes we give ourselves credit for. Like, especially with something healing that's going to put you to that next frequency or help you heal from something that maybe has been with you for some time. Like, I'm here for it. I'm like, yeah, let's go. Give me that little bit of the pain for pleasure, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's all the intensity and the uncomfortableness of those 20 minutes is worth it for all of the beautiful benefits that come. And, you know, Kambo frog medicine has always been associated with cleansing, clearing, cleaning, getting rid of negativity. Which is used to bring frogs to haunted houses to clear the energy and absorb the bad spirits.
That's so cool.
And Kambo frog medicine really helps you to connect to your heart, to yourself. I think that
I
all
love that.
medicines really do. But as one shaman quotes and says that Kambo helps to align your heartbeat with that of Mother Earth.
Oh God, that's so beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, it's really powerful medicine,
Wow.
and I give credit to both of these amphibians for being so incredible for connecting us to ourselves and removing those veils.
Yes, removing the veils. Yes. Oh my God, you're saying all the right things. Yes. Do you have any final words of wisdom for us? I feel like the whole episode has just been mic drop after mic drop, but if you have anything else you'd like to share, we're all ears.
I just really want to encourage people to do their research, and these medicines are to be given with trained professionals. There have been many incidents of people buying these medicines off the internet. It is really, really, really dangerous.
Mm,
I encourage all to do their research and to find a practitioner who they resonate with, that they know where they get their medicine from, how long they've been working with the medicines, just their vibe, and
absolutely.
if they resonate with the practitioner or not, and really listen to your instinct and your gut. And I think that I'd love to encourage everybody to at least start looking at these sacred medicines as a way to get to know yourself better and to come to know yourself.
Oh yeah, I love that. That's beautiful. I'm like, my next question, when are you coming to BC?
Yeah, I do have some people that have been wanting me to come, so I think that BC needs to be
You got
on the
another one right here.
yeah, on the tour. For sure, for next year, I spent a month in Calgary in August, and then I had to come back for another event. But I definitely would love to venture to BC and be out there. And like I said, there are practitioners throughout Canada. And just do your research and and be safe with these medicines.
Mm, definitely. Let's plug in all the ways people can connect with you if they'd like. So if you want to include your social media, website, all of them, you can just let us know what your handle is or what your website is. And I'll make sure as well for anyone on YouTube, it'll be in the description box. If you're listening podcast, it'll be in the show notes. So you can go
Okay.
ahead and let us know.
So Kambo_Ash on Instagram and then Kambo Ash on Facebook. Those are the best ways to get a hold of me. And if you have any questions, you can just send me a message and I can get back to you and go from there.
Perfect. Yes, that's how I reached out. I was like, "Hey," I was like, "You
Yes.
seem amazing.
Oh, thank
How
you.
about a podcast episode?" I just want to thank you so much. I'm so honored that you've taken the time to sit with us and share your amazing story and wisdom and love and light. And I think you're amazing. And I'm like, okay, we need to have more episodes because you have so much beautiful knowledge. I'm just like, this was such a beautiful honor. So I want to thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly. I really appreciate you reaching out and listening and all the questions. I love it. I love your enthusiasm for searching out all kinds of people and to really get these stories out there. I think it's beautiful what you're doing, and just being even via a computer screen, I can feel the vibrant energy, and I'd love to give you a squeeze in person.
Oh my God, me too. I'm such a hugger. I'm like, get over here. You're coming to BC
Yeah,
next.
come to mama.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love it. I feel the exact same way. I can just feel your beautiful energy and light exuding through the screen. And you know it's good when you can feel it through the screen.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh, I was gonna say no, thank you, but it was just perfect. Oh my gosh. Well, that is our tea time for today, everyone. I want to thank the listeners as always for tuning in. I want to wish you love and light as always. I really appreciate every single listen, view. It means a lot just to build up this beautiful community of openness, kindness, love, light, gratitude, all those beautiful things. And I just want to wish everyone an amazing day, night, whatever time it is that you're taking in this episode. And we will see you next week. Bye.